Welcome to the Eclectic Gamers Podcast. Today is Sunday, April 27th. This is episode 244. I'm Tony.
I'm Dennis. Tony, what's going on, Tony?
Okay. Story time.
Uh-oh.
So many stories. Buckle up, everybody.
I hope they're buckled if they're driving.
After our last episode, literally like 3 hours after our last episode, I took my children to see Minecraft.
Oh, no.
Because they really wanted to go see Minecraft.
I did not know this is where this was going. But it is somewhat gaming related, so
it's gaming related.
I'll allow it.
So we went to see Minecraft.
With Jack Black.
With Jack Black. And Jason Momoa.
Did he say it's time to Minecraft?
He did not.
Okay.
But he yearned for the mines.
Okay.
Oh man. Here's the thing.
I've seen some Reddit videos of kids really loving this movie. Like I saw one where a theater basically got destroyed and one of the workers afterwards with the popcorn everywhere said, well, at least they didn't set it on fire. I've heard most people say it wasn't like that, with others like throwing popcorn and kids running. Like this was just like unruliness, but that kids like it's done better than the Mario movie. So it is better than the Mario movie. That's the logic.
It hit its opening weekend, a higher opening weekend.
Making it better than Mario because it made more money than Mario.
It hasn't made more money than Mario total.
On the opening weekend, but that's all that matters. It did. Just like with American Godzilla. Had a great opening weekend.
It hasn't hit.
And you saw that too in the theater on opening weekend.
I did.
There's a pattern here.
There is. There is a pattern.
All right, but I'm making assumptions because I'm currently assuming that you're going to say this was better than Mario in every way.
Oh, I went into this movie with expectations that were very low.
Well, you're not a big Minecraft player.
No, I mean, I've played it. It's fun, but I didn't expect anything of it. My expectations were very, very low. I was disappointed.
Oh, you should have reduced your expectations to 0.
Here's the thing. The absolute funniest moment in that entire movie was the Lilo and Stitch trailer. The second funniest moment in that entire movie was the Superman trailer. That's how I...
Was this a comedy?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what genre it was. I thought maybe drama.
It was really bad if it was that. It would probably be worse than if it was luckily, when I got us our seats, because we get to pick because it's one of those where you get to pick the seats. I got seats all the way in the back, as far back as you could against the back wall. So all the way up. So there was nobody behind me. So I wasn't bothering anybody when I pulled out my phone and I adjusted the screen dimness down low so I could read a book.
Tony, no.
Because I was so I literally wanted to walk out of the movie like 20 minutes in.
Wow. So
my youngest daughter unironically loved it.
Oh no! I guess you pleased them.
My older daughter,
What of the elder?
Thought that it was better than she expected. Oh. She said it wasn't great, but it was funny and it had some good stuff in it.
Okay, so your purpose for going was successful.
I successfully allowed my children to have a good time.
Yes.
And it only required me to suffer.
Yes.
And we didn't have where the thing went nuts and there's popcorn thrown everywhere.
No.
But there was definitely screaming at different parts, and there were people quoting the movie throughout. Like little kids, you could hear them quoting the movie throughout. Like they'd obviously seen it more than once.
Oh, okay.
Or they'd seen, the stuff online and they were ready for it. But it is... when I went and saw Mario, I was like, I didn't expect anything. I thought Mario was a legitimately good movie. But this, I expected nothing, and I was disappointed. I would rather go back to theaters and watch Blood Rain.
Oh. Blood Rain, though, is amusing because it's so bad. It's one of those so bad it's good. In my opinion.
Yes.
Like I own Blood Rain.
Yes.
Because of that reason. I haven't watched it in years though, so I mean.
But it is so bad it is good.
It is. I mean, it's true. Uwe Boll at his finest. So, and maybe he should have taken this. It's a video game movie.
Yeah, maybe he should have. Oh man, it was so rough. It was so rough. Other than that, I spent like 4 days super sick. Mm-hmm. So I haven't done a lot, but I have played a game.
Okay.
Beautiful game. It's been out for a little while. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a new release, but it's surprisingly fun. Have you heard of Brotato?
Oh no.
No, no, actually I've been playing Dave the Diver.
Okay.
I picked it up on
I've heard of that.
I picked it up on the Steam sale. And we've been playing Dave the Diver, which is a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I'm not huge into like pixely stuff, but it's like this pixely, and it's you go diving in this magical blue hole that changes, and you hunt fish, or you like spearfish, and then you go up and you help run a sushi bar at night, and it's actually really fun. It's pretty cute, and it has been fun. But I have also been playing Brotato.
I'm in no way surprised.
But
thankfully, no one these last couple of weeks has written in about Brotato. So I think you've gained as many taters as you can out of this audience.
Well, good for them. I'm happy that they have found the true joy that is the Brotato.
Okay.
Now I have. I was watching. I don't know. I was watching a podcast.
Oh, yeah, a lot of them do that now.
Yeah, that I follow, and they got into a big conversation about this new game that's out that I'd seen some trailers for, and I hadn't really paid that much attention to. Claire Obscura Expedition 33.
I don't know anything about this.
And it's like a turn-based RPG, very much like Final Fantasy 9 or 10 style, where you've got some quick time events, but it's still turn based. It's not the active combat style ones, but it is set in this like weird stuff has happened France, and it's got this motif. But they were talking about it, so I watched one of the guys had a video up where he started playing it. So I watched his first like hour and a half or 2 hours of playing it, and the combat system looks really interesting. The game looks really interesting. I don't know if I have the energy to put up with that much French stuff. When he fought the giant-headed mime, I was like, what in the crap is going on? But it's actually, I mean, the art is nice, and the concept seems really interesting. So I might throw that on my list and wait for a sale, or wait to see how the reviews really shake out on it. But the initial reviews look pretty good. But I just don't know if I've got the time to dump into a big old RPG like that.
Right.
Because I've had tendencies lately with that kind of stuff to shiny halfway through. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's always a risk.
Yeah. But how have you been?
Fine. Been pretty busy work-wise, so I haven't accomplished as much as I might have thought I would. But before going into that, I will say we do have some Patreon additions to thank. So, hey,
wonderful. That's
a happy thing. So we actually have one person, Brandon L., up to their Patreon level, so we do appreciate that. And then Adam R. joined our Patreon, and someone who's used the name Butts with a Z joined. So we've got the Butts. Butts. So patreon.com/eclectic_gamers if you want to support the show. And we have a tier as low as $1 a month, unlike all those other podcasts that have higher tiers like $3 and $5 and $10 a month. Not us. One simple dollar.
One simple dollar.
Been playing some Yakuza. Actually, I was playing that when Tony came over for us to start doing the recording. But I do want to put in a little plug. There's a game that has fallen into shadow for quite a period of time called Overwatch 2, which has been making some moves ever since Marvel Rivals, which I've still been playing Marvel Rivals, has been doing a lot of stuff, and I think it's been forcing some innovation. But one way or the other, I do have to say, the new season of Overwatch 2 just came out less than a week ago, and they've added a mode called Stadium Mode. It is super fun.
Is it?
Yes. So
my daughter has been playing a lot of Overwatch 2.
Okay. So Stadium Mode it defaults. I switched it to first person shooter midway through the first game, but it defaults to third person, and part of that is because of everything going on. So it's a 5v5, but it's a reduced roster. At least currently, so it's not all the characters, but you have a tank, 2 DPS, 2 support. Once you lock in, you cannot change. And then a lot of the stuff that I guess was kind of promised, theorized, speculated, expected with PvE is in there. So you activate an ability out of a list of like 16. And then there are talents that you spend coins on that you earn during the game. And there are weapon talents, ability talents, and survival talents. And there's just there's just dozens of them. So you customize the build. And the abilities, every like couple of rounds you can unlock. So if you get all the way to round, this is best out of 4. So you could go all the way to 7 games, potentially. First to 4 wins. The abilities you pick lock in, but any of the talents you take, you can sell at full value. So you can swap them in between games. So at the start of every round, it gives you an armory, and you build out the specs that you want on the character that you can no longer change. And so you just like go forth and do stuff. Like I haven't played as Soldier 76 is one of the characters. For those who haven't played, Soldier 76 is like the most prototypical like shooter character in the game.
Right.
Well, one of his abilities, as you know, Tony, is a healing circle. You can do a healing build where he runs around, the circle follows him. He earns rapid ult by healing other people. The healing circle can hurt enemies too. Like he can do that. You can go Ash, the sniper, can have a little tiny bob. I don't know what he does other than be small. Moira, the support TikTok attacker type, she can take like multi-ball. So when she throws orbs, she throws 3 at a time instead of 1. When she throws an orb, she'll throw the opposite orb at the same time. It'll do reduced effect, but she'll have multiple ones out. When she fades, she'll leave an orb behind where she's at. And that's just the ability setup. You can also go in, and I had a mode where I was playing as I think it was Arissa, the horse, and I just turned her into like almost pure armor and shields. I took a ton of survival abilities and gave her abilities. So like every time she landed a javelin, she would generate health. She'd life steal with her attacks. All this stuff. It's madness. It's total madness. And there's like an announcer talking to you. You can take abilities where it's like when you die 3 seconds later after the first death, you res.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, you're auto mercied. Just all that, and again, in between rounds, the applied abilities, which not the abilities, but the perks, I guess, and you can have, I think it's up to 6 or 8 or something. So, and you're earning more coin as you go along, and the better you do, the more coin you also earn there as well. You can. If you do super duper well, like the other team is terrible, there is a mercy rule where you can be done in 3. If you've won all 3 in a row and you have earned enough points ahead of the other team, it'll just be like, it's done. This other team is not worthy. so just all that.
Look up mercy ruled.
So, the other thing, again, I know I'm saying a bunch of stuff that a lot of the listeners do not care about or don't understand. Reaper, DPS that can tell, you could give him this is like an early one you can easily give him, is you can give it to every time he teleports into Blossom.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
It's a reduced damage Blossom, but it's a Blossom. Yep, you can do all sorts of things. Moira can fade, and if she fades through someone, they're 50% slowed. Like there's all sorts of things. Ash dynamites that when the dynamites explode, they explode into more dynamites. Just all sorts of. Anyway, so
have Ash in a war crime build.
Yes. She basically, we don't like her. May turns into a snowball. When she cocoons, you can control it and hit people with it and roll around as a giant snowball. So she's as terrible as she was back when the game launched as Overwatch 1. It's really madness because there's just so many different things you can do. You basically can't memorize until you see what the other team is doing. It'd be just like you can have a Genji, and the Genji will be dramatically different between the two teams because of the specs they choose.
Right.
So anyway, it's a lot of fun because it's really maddening. I have heard though that Switch does not play this mode well. PS4 cannot really play the mode. And I've even heard people say their PS5s have overheated. PC and Xbox supposedly aren't having too bad of a time, but some people have reported frame rate drops and stuff because there's just so much stuff. Like Reinhardt can flame strike, and his strike leaves the tourbillon molten lava behind it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And Diva can do the same thing with her, I think with her boosts or something, where she can leave lava. There's several characters that can leave lava.
Leave stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's
there's just all sorts of things that can just start appearing. It's just a question of the abilities and perks you choose. So anyway, I'm going to give a plug for it because it is the freshest thing that they have. Like, this should have been Overwatch 2. I'm going to say that. It's a lot of fun to do.
Okay, so quick hot take. If somebody hasn't been playing Overwatch 2 or Marvel Rivals right this second, which one would be the better one to install and play?
Oh, gosh. That is an interesting hot take. I will say Marvel Rivals.
Frost. Emma Frost.
Yeah, she is in now.
Yeah.
And she's not too hard to play. There's a bigger roster. You're going to know the character, so I think it's going to be easier for you to get in. And one of the main things that I would say about it is there are a lot of losers in that game. Like, they don't know how to play. So you're going to have a better chance of actually getting wins and stuff because there's just a lot more people that have no idea what they're doing in Marvel. I think more and more people, because it's free to play, people are very easy to adopt Overwatch, but there are a lot of people who have played a lot of Overwatch, so it's very easy to kind of get schooled really quickly. It's not like Rainbow Six Siege bad, where it's like if I go into Rainbow Six Siege, I'm like, you don't belong here. If you didn't start launch year, you do not belong in this game. It's not like that, but yeah, again, there's a huge roster and stuff. I mean, they're just... So I'd go ahead and say, yeah, if you had to pick between the two, I'd say try Marvel Rivals first. If you like it, go ahead and give Overwatch a try after that. That'd be my recommendation.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I'm still playing Marvel Rivals. They came out with their new season just like a week and a half ago. So,
right.
With Emma Frost. And a new map, finally. That's the one thing with Marvel Rivals. It's still really frustrating. There's not nearly enough maps. It's very telling. And their system is not nearly as good as Overwatch. I have played... like where I have to play 3 matches to finish a daily, they've all been the same map, and I've been on the same side of the map every time. Like your defense on Kakawa 3 times in a row. And it's just like, oh my God, put in some logic here. I've never had back-to-back maps in Overwatch. I don't think ever in the years I've played. I've never got Havana and then got Havana again, which is good because Havana is trash. I hate that map. It's the worst map in the game. Now that Paris isn't in there anymore.
Oh, Paris was designed.
Bad. Paris was designed by cats. Literal cats walked on a keyboard and made Paris. But anyway, now that we've lost all of the viewers and the Patreon people are questioning their life choices, let us go ahead and jump into the pinball segment finally, because we do have pinball news.
Pinball.
Oh, we knew this was coming. We talked about this on the last episode. But before we get into that, I think we have to deal with some email. We actually got an email from Doug. He emailed in. Because last episode, you'll probably recall, Tony, we had a conversation about should people buy King Kong or should they buy Harry Potter? And we had that discussion about how Harry Potter, they're not limiting the CEs. They're just going to have a limited window, which I don't know how to interpret that because anything licensed has a limited window because eventually the license expires. So everything licensed has a limited window. But anyway, this is what Doug wrote. Let me try that again. Hi, Dennis and Tony. Hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it. I think you are exactly right, and I think that is precisely what I plan to do. I will purchase Kong first, and since JJP stated that there will be limitless games, pressure is off. So, I may go for Harry Potter later, maybe years later, but not before playing it on location. Additionally, I feel much more comfortable buying an Elwyn game before playing it than Harry Potter. Let's face it, you already know Kong is going to shoot great. But can you guarantee that same confidence about HP? Given JJP's track record, I can confidently say no. That's how he wrote it. I'm telling you, that's how he wrote it. JJP's games are pretty to look at and have lots of lights, but I want games in my collection that I enjoy playing. That's the reason my collection has no JJP games in it. Before Elton John, their layouts simply are not designed to shoot well, and really don't make me coming back for more. Jaws, however, I would play this game and enjoy it as much on game 4000 as I did the first time I played it. I can't say the same about GNR. It just gets boring fast. On a side note, which is very subjective, I also dislike the giant LCD screen JJP games have. The backbox art is a huge part of pinball and the history of the game. Replacing 2/3 of that art with a giant confusing LCD where it is next to impossible to find your score or what ball you are on is not for me. Dig the show. All right, well, thank you. Though I will note in, I guess, the defense of anyone that might criticize it, Doug, that your side note, which was very subjective, did follow your main note, which is also very subjective because it was all very, very subjective. Not that I disagree.
I was going to say, I don't disagree.
You know, I like his point about the screen thing and where is what ball am I on? Was it Wonka? I think it was Wonka. I never knew. I basically rely, when I play it in tournament at 403 Club, I just rely on someone else to kind of figure out whose turn it was because I couldn't figure that thing out.
No, and I mean, that's in the giant LCD screen, I think there's a balance so that you still have the traditional back glass and stuff and then an LCD screen. But when they're too big, it does feel like it hurts the game overall.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But
otherwise, yeah, no. I mean, thanks for the email. I don't really disagree with you on anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've never owned a JJP game. I've thought about in the past getting like a used dialed in, and Elton John was a lot of fun. I could see getting an Elton John maybe if I got rid of my Star Trek or something, since the layout is reminiscent.
Right, and that's the thing is, I would say if I was going to own a JJP, those are the two. It'd be one of those two.
Well, if you don't want to own a JJP, we have a couple of new games from a couple of other manufacturers that have just been revealed. So let's go ahead and have a conversation about them. We don't have to spend a tremendous amount of time on these because, unfortunately, as we warned everyone on episode 243, we were the last to know. We knew we were going to be the last to know.
Yeah.
So you've already heard everyone else opine about these. You've probably already seen gameplay about them. You've almost assuredly already seen pictures of them, unless you're not primarily into pinball at all, which is fine. So let's go ahead and run over those. I'm going to start with Barrels of Fun, which launched Dune. I always like to say Dune. I do have a link in the show notes for people that would like to read about it. Nap Arcade's article on this is the one I have linked to. But Tony, there's only one model. Okay, you don't have to worry about an LE or a premium or whatever. Game design was a combination of David Van Ness and Travis Mosman, who Travis also did the mechanical engineering for the game. The programmer on it's Eric Pripke. The rules were done with Bowen Currens and Phil Grimaldi. Johnny Krapp did the art package. And they're currently expecting to build about 20 of these a week. And the price to purchase it is $1,000 more than Labyrinth was. The game is $11,600, so not insignificantly priced. For our internal discussion purposes, Tony, you'll see I have a sort of a 45-degree angle shot of what the game looks like from a cabinet basis, and then I do have a shot of the general layout. So basically, what would you like to start with in terms of discussing this game? I know on the Discord and such, I shared links to like the trailers and stuff when it was being revealed and all of that. I mean, toy wise, this one has a sandworm that rises out of kind of the center, really kind of the center left back portion of the playfield. You can that sandworm can eat the ball, but it can also rise up with the ball on top of it on the mouth part. And that's to convey you riding the worm. And then you've got a lot of 3D sculpted sort of plastic on the right-hand side to convey the Seach system. There's a thumper that's kind of in the far left side of the game. It does thump. And there is the harvester in the back left corner of the game. So those are kind of like the main toys that your eye will be drawn to. And otherwise, I mean, it does look very sandy. A lot of blues and oranges used in the game, like a Bourne Identity poster almost. But
yeah, I mean,
where would you like to begin?
I think it looks fine. I mean, I like the sculpted plastics. I like the toys for the most part. I really hope the thumper has the proper like thump sound effect coming when it fires.
I heard I can't remember which trailer or video it was, but it did. Yeah, when like a mode was starting, you heard the thump like you would expect.
Yeah,
it was a proper thump.
I mean, I find that cool. I can't. I'm looking at the playfield, and I'm not I can't really tell how well this is going to shoot. Not to me. I don't see anything that's jumping out at me as a "What are you thinking?" I see it has one of those joyful upper flippers to hit a shot.
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting you brought up the geometry because I had a similar reaction. I look at this and the geometry didn't look inherently problematic. There was a media event day. By the way, we were invited to media event days. I didn't respond to them because they were all during work week times and such. But the people who recorded at the media events, they struggled. Just like how Labyrinth is by all accounts a very hard game. I don't have a lot of time on Labyrinth, and my time on Labyrinth was very brief and brutal. People who have owned Labyrinth, I've heard opine that it is a hard game. It doesn't, for most people, they can't really get through it. And this did not look easy when we saw those media folks play. And unfortunately, at least at the time last week when I was really paying attention to all of this, they got a teaser trailer out and they got an actual trailer out before the media event thing. They didn't have a gameplay reveal. They didn't put together a trailer highlighting gameplay. So you didn't actually see someone making shots in a structured environment, and they didn't assemble a live stream with high skilled players making shots to really show you a lot. So that's the verdict's out, because obviously when you're first playing a game, it's quite possible to have a brick fest and then end up finding shots and finding out the game doesn't play nearly as hard as you first thought it might. Also, a lot of the assets, well, they are getting them in. There's a lot of licensor approval that was not yet ready. So a lot of the call-outs and stuff are not yet in the game. Stuff from the film, not yet in the game. So it was sort of hard to get a feel for that. I'll mention on the screen asset front. I actually really like the art package that Johnny did. Not so much the cabinet and translite, which feels very formulaic to me, but I like the big center above the slingshot set piece where it's not like a whole bunch of little windows trying to convey everything from the movie, but instead it's just a shot of the Fremen on the sand. Yeah,
that's nice. With that looks good. I also like the apron.
Oh, the apron's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Was that book cover art on one of not my edition. It might be maybe an older edition, but regardless, that worm look, that's really awesome. I'm glad they didn't stick apron cards on it and just let it look all wormy and cool. Toy wise, the Thumper, I think actually is a really great touch. I think the toys look fun overall. I will say, I think that riding the worm, I don't know how often you trigger that, but, it seems even slower than a Godzilla building drop. So, we're kind of getting in the realm of Maverick Riverboat ball locks here. I worry, that's going to be great. The first 6 times you look at it, and eventually you're going to be like, okay, well, time to make a sandwich. Sandwich making time. Yeah, because it's just what looks cool up front. Once you start playing and playing and playing, remember these are mostly, at over $11,000. These are going to be in homes, not arcades.
Right.
You're going to see it a lot. I even get frustrated with the Godzilla building drop, and it's not all that slow, but it's still a little. Actually, my biggest problem with Godzilla, as an aside, isn't that. It's when I have balls locked at the top, and then the game ends, and the building has to drop to release the balls. I have to wait for the building to go back up before I can start a new game.
You don't get your rapid reset.
I've tried. It won't let me. And I'm just like, you know what? No, make it go fast. Go.
Boom, boom.
So anyway, I don't know. What are your overall thoughts? I think the limit on this is going to be 1,000 units, so less than what they said they were willing to build of Labyrinth, but not tremendously less. I don't know that they sell all 1,000. I
don't know.
It's at 11.6. That's my question. It's not inexpensive.
That's high, and I don't know if the new Dune was that popular.
It made a lot of money in the theaters.
It did.
But so did Minecraft.
It had some amazing visuals, and it was very good, even with Timothée Chalamet.
He was, I thought, the weakest part of those movies.
I felt like he was the weakest actor out of the cast.
I just felt like he didn't have any personality. I think that's the thing. I've heard he's done very well in other films. That's really the only one I've seen with him. But I was not really impressed with his performance as Paul.
No, I thought everybody else did a much better job. I think he got overshadowed. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was just that.
I mean, there were some heavy hitter names.
Right. Maybe it was just
he may have done better than Christopher Walken.
Yeah, probably. But at the same, but like I said, he's a fine actor, but then you've got all these huge names standing around. Mm-hmm. Being a fine actor isn't enough when you're surrounded by like titans of the industry.
Do you think they should have had Patrick Stewart back as Gurney?
And they should have had Kyle MacLachlan back as Paul. I mean, Kyle MacLachlan looks the same today as he did in back when he did Dune originally. You know, when he was like 45.
Yeah, so he looks like he's in his 40s. Okay.
Playing a 16-year-old.
Yeah. It was a different time in the early 80s.
Spice rough living. It's rough living. It's just like the old days where everyone started smoking and drinking coffee at 3, so that people look like they're in their 50s when they're like graduating high school.
Yeah, I saw on Reddit there was a picture of a side by side of some guy, I don't know who he is. He looked all of 12, who supposedly, I think in the photo was 34, and beside that was a shot of Sean Connery at 34. And they're like, this was very different living between these two eras. Like kids today, like put on sunscreen and lotions and care for themselves. And Sean Connery had been smoking for 33 of his 34 years at this stage. So it's just very, very different lifestyles. So, okay. So Dune, we're kind of like, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
All right. The nether release was King Kong.
Another release.
Stern Pinball. Finally, King Kong, Myth of Terror Island. I mean, I can't dog on King Kong too much for coming out as it did, because I do think they timed their D&D release for EGP, and we can't expect them to always bend to our schedule for proper announcement.
Right.
But nonetheless, this time I have a link to an article at Kineticist in the show notes for those of you who would like to read more about this and look at some of the imagery. This is a cornerstone, so it's going to follow the typical pattern that you would expect. There is no price increase. All 3 tiers are the same price as D&D was. Pro, Premium, LE. LE is capped at a higher number than D&D, but not back up to the old 1,000 level. They did 932 units. There's a reason for that. I think it's 1932 release of King Kong or something. No one cares. It is Keith Elwin design. Rick Nagel handled programming. Harrison Drake is the engineer for the game. Art is an interesting combination. So Zombie Yeti is now the art director for Stern, incidentally. So congratulations to Jeremy Packer for securing that job. But this is a combination with him, Greg Freres, and Kevin O'Connor. And the reason is there was like a Data East version. I think it's the last image I have in our internal notes, Tony, of the near the flipper shot. There was like a 10 prototype units or something were made of a King Kong game. So that art was used as a basis and incorporated into this version. So that's why you'll see like Kevin O'Connor on here, because some of his art is in the playfield. So anyway, so that's why we have such a diverse mixture of artists involved in the project. Jerry Thompson handled sound. And for custom callouts, they've for some reason gone with Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers. I've heard he's done a great... I have not been able to hear this game very easily and appreciate the callouts, and I haven't played it in person yet. So I've heard others say he did a good job, but they're calling this out as a highlight, so I'm noting it here. But I really don't care, and it doesn't seem like anything to do with King Kong in any way. Like I would have gone back to I mentioned this over on the Pinball Show. I just said, just get... I know this is a original approach there, but... just get someone who was involved in the Peter Jackson version to do some call-outs. Get Jack Black.
He's
busy Minecrafting. He can do this, too. Come on, guys. Come on. You got such a...
First we mine.
Yes. Then we craft.
Oh,
is that what he said? Oh, my God. You didn't laugh at that? You laughed at Superman more? I'm sorry. Anyway. All right. I have watched some of the gameplay and stuff of this. I know this is going to shock you. Maybe you've seen it yourself, but yeah, it looks like it plays awesome. All feedback I've had is been highly positive of how it plays.
Here's the thing.
What is the thing?
Let's just be honest. Until an L1 game plays poorly, there's no reason to be shocked.
I know, but we have to say it. I mean, we have to cover it. I mean,
that's here. I'll be the controversial one here.
The devil's advocate?
Dune has a better art package.
Oh, I agree.
Controversy.
Yeah, I've seen some people push back on that. Mostly people who are selling games. I'm just saying there's a sameness to this rainbow color palette.
Yeah.
And I didn't love the art quality is good, but I never loved the palette choice for Godzilla either. And that's bias from seeing other more desaturated approaches to Godzilla art that I think are really, really compelling. But
right.
Pinball still has this. We got to catch the eye on location. And Stern pros in particular, do end up on location a lot. So perhaps that still needs to be a motivator for them. Whereas a home-based game like Barrels of Fun Dune can go with a more restrained art package because they're not trying to draw quarters.
It's an argument.
I haven't heard that argument. This is me trying to give them a hand. But the bottom line is I agree. The Dune art package is vastly superior, at least on the playfield. I think is more debatable in terms of the cab art and stuff, which I'm totally fine with in this game. Toys wise, again, it depends pro versus the pros do look pretty stripped down. The gong shot is not a gong on the pro. Instead, there's like a image, I think, of a gong, like a plastic of a gong above the shot.
Right.
So you don't have to interact with the toy. The spider on the left-hand side, that actually is a really interesting little mech. The spider itself is not attached to a coil. What it's sitting on is a metal plate, so when the electromagnet underneath it activates, it makes the spider go...
And look all creepy?
Yes, and bouncy bounce. So
creepy.
Very, very cool. That actually ended up looking really cool with those little bouncy bounce methods. There's the subway ball lock on one of the ramps, and King Kong can block that with he's got his Kung Fu grip hand, which yet again is another better implementation of the Kung Fu grip than JJP's Avatar with the mech with the knife, which I continue to mock as one of the worst decisions. It's like they should have just made that. They should have just gotten rid of that mech. Like not even have the mech on there. Not give it a Kung Fu grip. Every other choice was better than that. I still don't know why they did it, but other than to try and do something. I have not really looked too much into the rules here, other than you're going along. You're doing. They've done like a custom animation approach rather than anything trying to clip from old movie.
Which makes sense since they're trying to generate their kind of own thing.
Some have pushed, and I will give credence to this push about, again, like using the old original King Kong footage or something. Again, looking at Godzilla, that's what they did, is they went to that early era of Godzilla films and got a bunch of clips.
Right.
I just think
like that
King Kong,
choice.
They didn't have as many movies.
Correct, right. And
what are you going to do? You're going to do King Kong, and then you're going to jump to King Kong from the 70s and pull a clip from there. It
wouldn't have worked nearly.
There's
as
not
well
the continuity. So,
and I will say that's one thing. While we were talking about the color saturation, I can see in the art where it's almost like they went for a very much that kind of 30s pulp feel to it, like an old pulpy comic type thing, or an old pulp novel cover type look. And
I want to think, I can't remember. I heard someone else, this is secondhand. I didn't hear it with an interview or anything, but someone had conveyed like a desire to do like an Art Deco approach, which some of the, there's some building art on the playfield, like further up kind of near where the spider is where, because all right, not to, look, I'm not an art person. I don't know a lot about art, but here's the thing. Yeah, the Empire State Building is Art Deco. So if you're going to include the Empire State Building, you've included Art Deco. When I see this art package, I do not see Art Deco. Art Deco is a very specific design language, and it's not what most of this is. Most of this is jungle. But I'm just saying, the jungle is not Art Deco. Art Deco is
Art jungle.
I mean, you could argue art nuevo, which is naturally inspired, natural forms. I know this solely because the Vacheron 1921 is an art nuevo design inspired watch, whereas things like the JLC Reverso is an art deco design, which is mechanical in nature, streamlined, smooth forms, embracing modern techniques at the time, plastic, Bakelite, concrete. That's art deco. Uniform symmetry.
Bakelite.
Yes, Bakelite. I've had so much experience with old Bakelite. Look, mistakes were made. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Overall, I think they did a really good job embracing the kind of the world under glass. Not the greatest job. Most of the stuff, as I noted, is really, there's a lot of jungle aspects to it. And again, like you're fighting the T-Rex, you got the spider, you got all of that. You've got the gong. So when you start seeing things like a subway there, it's just kind of like, I get where they're going for. They felt like they really needed to have some of that New York element in there because the story being told is still the general story we've always heard told.
The original.
All right, we've got
tale.
Custom animation. I thought the animations, I don't have any images of it. I thought the animations actually looked decent for what they were going for. I thought it looked, I think it looks fun. Yeah. I know. What a shock.
Shocking.
But we should probably be able to play this one here on location relatively soon. They're doing the LEs first, so be a little bit of a wait. But I think maybe next month we'll hear one or more of our locations will have it. So I'm looking forward to it. But any other thoughts you had on it?
No, I think that covers the highlights.
Okay. Well, there you go. I know not the super depth of what some might want, but trust me, there are plenty of other YouTube channels and videos now showing you these games. So I don't want to belabor the point.
Right, and well, it's one of those things that until we actually physically put hands on it and play it ourselves, it feels weird to try and talk about something when it's hard to criticize
what the parts that would matter,
right?
How it shoots, how the rules are, like when we finally played John Wick and we were like, oh no.
Right.
Oh no, because looks wise, all right. I didn't love the art, but I thought the game itself looked okay, and then I played it, and I was like, I just don't like this. Anyway. I don't want to be sad right now, so let's go to video games, so we don't have to be sad. I do have a couple emails. We actually got more emails this time on the video game front, but so Jeff emailed us, and I noted it was specifically on the subject of Diablo 2. So
classic game.
It is a classic game. He says, hello, gents. I don't know if he said it like this, but I haven't used my Southern one in a while. I've been a fan of the podcast for pinball for many years now. I've recently gotten sucked back into Diablo 2 after a couple-decade break after I got suggested a few speedrun videos on YouTube, and I'm loving the easy mind-free grinding on my Switch. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this game. Cheers, Jeff. What are your thoughts?
Diablo 2 is the best Diablo game.
I mean, it's the one I have the most time in.
Yes, but I mean, I still, to this day, I have memories, especially when it first came out and there was some seriously broken stuff. Like, I remember...
Item duping?
Well, item duping, yes, but I mean, at one point, you could, seriously stack skills to break corpse explosion.
Oh, yes.
So that you could end up basically vaporizing the entire screen by holding a button. And you could beat bosses in a second.
Yeah.
And there was a similar pathing, skill setup pathing that if you were very careful on how you set your skills as the Amazon, where you could beat the first boss in under 3 seconds because you could stack up. Yeah, you could stack up the rapid spear thrust thing just right if you built it just right, where you would basically stun lock the boss from the first hit and they'd just die. And they patched and fixed most of that stuff, but even after that game is still fun. That game has a ton of replayability. I think the only game even close to anything like Diablo 2 that I've really put that much time into is Torchlight 2, which is just another of the exact same type of game. And honestly, the only reason I had as much time in Torchlight 2 as Diablo 2 is because I was playing Torchlight 2 with a ton of mods, which I never did with Diablo 2.
Okay.
But no, I full on understand. It is just grinding fun enjoyment. I'm like you, Jeff. I've not played it in years, but I still have nothing but pleasant memories from it.
Yeah, I put a lot of time in it. I didn't play it nearly as much. I haven't really thought about revisiting it. The main things for me is I kind of remember doing it like in LAN settings and doing groups.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't our main LAN game that I played. Like we did sometimes, but there was a mix of games that one would do in a LAN, and just in the world with Quake and like Warcraft 2 and StarCraft and stuff.
Total annihilation.
This one just didn't rise as high up. Ultimately, it just didn't get as much time played. It did have a high degree of replayability, including by yourself replayability, which gave it a lot of value. But I just started to drift into other games at the time. So it's still, I do remember it fondly. I thought it really had a really cool aesthetic. I kind of hoped that, just loosely hoped, because I'm not super passionate about it, that they could do a new Diablo that would get that same feeling back, but it may just not be possible.
Yeah, 3 and 4 didn't do it.
So
they didn't do it.
So anyway,
maybe they'll do a Diablo 2 remaster and it'll come out on your Xbox.
So if I were to replay an old game, I would be more likely to go back and like play the isometric Fallout games and get back into those.
Oh yeah, those were good.
So. All right. Next email, Matt R. He wrote in. I'm not quoting the email because what happened is I actually got an alert on EGP email that we had a Humble Bundle gift. He submitted a copy of some game called Gato Roboto. Do you know this game?
Roboto? No, I've not heard of it.
Well, here's the thing. So he basically, his email said we could share it if neither of us had it. And I was like, I went ahead and I just installed it because I decided you own everything with Humble Bundle, so you don't really get a say.
Okay.
And if you want it, I'd just buy you a copy. But I've added it to my Steam library last night. So I had it installed. It is installed now, but I have not played it yet. So my hope, though, is that I will provide some feedback on Gato Roboto on the next episode. It looked like cutesy and maybe pixely, so I figured you might hate it anyway.
I do admit, a game's got to be really good when it's pixely. I've never gotten into the pixel thing.
Yeah, it looked kind of like it had one of those more crude art styles. I don't know until I start the game if the game itself is pixels or not. But I'm going to say that so you feel good about me just taking it.
That's fine. You can take it. Let me, Dennis.
What? What?
I have.
I just took it. I took Gato from
it's
you.
Fine.
I didn't even give you the Roboto option.
Let me talk. Let me tell you about this beautiful game. There's this beautiful game out there that is just.
Don't you say it.
It's just
don't you veggie
so
this
good.
Up.
And you just you play and you can just play for a couple minutes and then walk away, or you can play for hours, and it's so good and it's just fun, and even when it goes terrible, it makes you still feel happy having played it. There's this beautiful little potato game out there. It's called Brotato.
Quit bringing up the potato game. Don't want to hear it. This is terrible. It's terrible. This is bad stuff. This reminds me like when we talked too much about the Golem game, and then I got it for Christmas, and I had to play it. And it was painful. It was. It was like I wanted to throw that game. It was so glitchy. I still think about it. I think about how ugly and potato face. Maybe that's why I won't play Brotato. It's because potato face Gollum accompanied me for hours upon hours. I got out my capture unit. I captured the entire game, all of it, edited up footage to get like all of 90 views with my super hard work on my experience playing Lord of the Rings: The Adventures of Gollum the Potato. No more taters. I'm done with them. Taters are done. Never mention it again. That won't stop you, but it's a suggestion. It's a suggestion. You're not thinking about my trauma.
Have you heard the good word of Brotato?
Why don't you tell us about Resident Evil 4?
We are the prophet of Brotato.
We need to hear about Resident Evil 4.
Fry and mash.
Video games. Other video games. Sorry.
All right. Well, Resident Evil 4 Remake came out a couple years ago.
I played it.
It has hit 10 million copies sold faster than any Resident Evil game.
It's very good. And it was always a beloved game.
Right. So, yeah, just the remake has hit 10 million copies sold in 2 years, which is faster than any of the games have made. The highest selling Resident Evil games are only in like the 15 million range. So the remake is already closing in on that. So I would say that remake went over very well. Mm-hmm. And speaking of remakes, because I'm going to switch my notes around a little bit here. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered.
Yeah.
Huge,
it just showed. I saw people were talking about it. I was like, what?
Everybody's known it's been
I
being
didn't even
worked
know
on.
he died.
Yeah.
Sorry, a little Norm Macdonald inspiration there.
It didn't even. Everybody knew it was being worked on. It was like one of those. It was it was like one of those worst kept secrets of video games type thing. But literally, there was like a leak and an announcement that there's going to be a trailer coming out, and then they dropped the game and the trailer at the same time. They like shadow dropped.
They even remastered the horse armor.
They remastered the horse armor. They kept in the line flubs. They kept in everything. The one of the original primary coders behind or designers behind the original game was interviewed after the remaster dropped, and he's like, it's like a whole new game. It's not just like a remaster. It's like they've gone above and beyond. It is to the point where I've heard people talking that a lot of the stuff they've done is feelers for stuff for the new Elder Scrolls 6. That they're trying things out to see how it goes over in this. Some of the changes they made, they're seeing how it goes over in this because that's what they're looking at doing in 6.
Have you played Oblivion?
I've played it, the original.
Right.
Yes.
No, I didn't. I wasn't asking you. You're too busy playing potato-based games to have gotten through this quickly. So
Right.
All right.
Yes.
I really liked Oblivion. I actually went back and played it after the following Elder Scrolls game, I don't remember which one that was. Was it? It wasn't Skyrim, was it?
Yeah, Skyrim.
Did
5 was Skyrim.
Okay. Maybe I did go back and play it afterward. But anyway, it was enough that I didn't feel too janky or anything.
Yeah.
It was, it was an interesting game.
I did see an interesting thing because since it was this shadow drop, it wasn't expected. It wasn't on anybody's radar, and they just kind of dropped it out of nowhere. Apparently, there were like 4 mid to high popularity looking forward to like indie games that dropped on the same day, and they're just like, our sales are nothing like we expected. Everybody's playing Elder Scrolls.
Thanks a lot, Oblivion. Guess that's what you've just confined the whole indie industry to.
But
Oblivion.
Expedition 33 dropped the same day, and they sold 500,000 copies.
Oh, okay.
So it didn't destroy everything, but
I don't know what that is.
That's that kind of Frenchy game I was talking about back at the.
I forgot the name already.
Yeah,
Wee.
When the giant robot mime head thing.
Yes,
but no, I think this is great, especially for people who. I mean, it was a good game, just like Skyrim. I think Skyrim was better, but
yeah, Skyrim. I actually remember the DLC more for Oblivion, where you went to the weird island. I don't know if you played.
I never played the DLC.
Okay. There's a DLC one, and it was shockingly colorful and bright and vibrant, which is not how Oblivion looks otherwise. And it was this is a really interesting aesthetic choice, and it had a good sort of stories. It was one of those instances where I can't remember the name of the DLC. Just like I can't remember the name of the DLC for BioShock 2, which BioShock 2 as a game was a step back from BioShock, but it had like Minerva's Den DLC. I think that's the one, and it was really good. Like the DLC was great. It was like, wow, wish the whole game had been like that. But anyway,
it's
good for them.
Yeah, I think Elder Scrolls is kind of like Final Fantasy.
People love Elder Scrolls, but
it's like even the bad games are good.
Yeah,
and this most definitely wasn't one of the bad ones. So, Funstock.
Don't know that name.
They're a company. They sell the Evercade retro consoles.
Okay.
So they're one of the like 15 people who make like retro consoles and emulators that look like the old Game Boy SPs and Game Boy Advances and a variety of other
a nostalgia dealer.
A nostalgia dealer. They have stopped all orders and pre-orders for U.S. customers. Due to the cost of tariffs, because they're going to increase the cost of the units so much. And they're not the only one. There's been like 2 or 3 other of the little nostalgia dealer, retro dealers that have basically stopped everything in the United States.
I bet a lot of their stuff is from, if not outright just built in China.
Oh, a lot of it's drop shipped from China. So that's the reasoning, because otherwise people are, the way it hits is prices are just crazy. And we've been seeing that more and more. I know we don't really have a tabletop section right now, but a lot of companies in the tabletop world are pausing all production, and they're just selling what stock they have. Some companies have started layoffs. Some companies have flat out folded because shipments have come in that were ordered, and then their tariff bill on the import is so high that they literally can't pay it.
Yep.
Catalyst Game Labs put out a huge thing. We're talking about they've been opening up international fulfillment centers so that they don't, because they typically ship everything to the U.S. and then ship back out. So they've opened up other fulfillment
So it doesn't have
centers,
to pass through us.
so it doesn't have to pass through the U.S. But there's a whole lot of Kickstarters that have basically just said all physical rewards are on pause. We'll let you know. So that's kind of that whole zone of the stuff is being affected right now, and we'll see how that turns out over the course of the next several months.
All right.
But I thought we'd end with happy news.
Yay!
Switch 2
Cruise control.
finally went on pre-sale in the United States.
The worst kept console secret ever.
Right.
And then, of course, the delays from the tariffs on the pre-sales had haunted many American
They did.
and Canadian.
And Canadians, but they finally went on pre-sale, and it went real bad.
Yes, I heard.
I mean, it went real bad. Like, apparently some storefronts, specifically like Target was the one I heard, they would let you put it in your cart and go to your thing, and they would let you pay for it, and it would be all good, and your pre-order would go through and everything. And like 20 minutes later, you would get an email saying it was canceled. You'd get your money back because they didn't have any way of they hadn't put anything in place to like say it was sold out, so you could go all the way through. Other places had things where people like literally refreshed, and it was like instantly sold out. Their screen went from goes for sale in 3, 2, 1 on sale, sold out. They never they couldn't even click the buy button. But yeah, no, it has been just as terrible as we thought it would be. So there's no surprises. I know someone mentioned on Discord that they got a pre-order in. They asking they would been successfully able to get one in. I didn't even try, since we'll end up with one, if not two, at the house eventually. But there's nothing at launch that we feel the need to get it for. So we'll probably aim for more of like a Christmas type thing for that. But one big change that did get announced is the accessories prices were all increased due to the tariffs.
Okay.
They did not increase the console prices, but the prices of all the accessories were increased. And there are reports that they're hoping to get more stock in place before launch, so they might like have pre-orders reopen. I don't know if it's a thing where they're going to announce pre-orders are going to reopen, or if somebody will just randomly click on the thing and go, "Oh, look, it's not sold out anymore." So we'll see. We didn't really talk about it when we talked about the Switch 2 announcement party, but part of Nintendo's thing is they are releasing a completely different version of the Switch 2 in Japan than anywhere else in the world. They're releasing a Japan-only version that will only play Japanese games and can only be accessed with a Japanese Nintendo.
I'd heard about this.
Yeah, I didn't really bring it up and talk about it
because most of our audience isn't in Japan.
Correct. So I didn't think it was a big deal. But the other thing is, it's cheaper.
Yes, I know someone who really was planning to get a Switch, and they were quite annoyed at this sort of. Well, we're going to let. It's like how Jackson County residents get to buy cheaper Chief tickets.
Exactly.
And it's like, what about us?
Right. I mean, because it's not like, oh, it's $10. It's like $100.
Yeah, significant. Like where everyone had dreamed it would have been priced at.
Right. And, but that has its own problems because that means they have to have a separate manufacturing line, obviously, where they're doing the differences. But Nintendo opened up their pre-orders as basically it was a lottery system where you went to Nintendo's website and you applied and you got into the lottery, and then they pulled numbers at random. They had 2.2 million people enter the lottery.
That sounds high.
It was way more than they expected. Like more than double their entire stock of the Japanese ones that they had planned on. And they're working on getting more, but it is they flat out came out and said we're completely overwhelmed by the desire in Japan for this. It's going to be a while.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
well, at least they said something.
Yeah. No, I mean, they did, but it was way over the top. And we also got some more confirmations of stuff that we'd heard about, which is the stuff that initially made me hate Steam back in the day, as Dennis will remember.
Yeah, I do. Me and Pepperidge Farm.
A lot of the majority, actually all but one confirmed third-party Switch 2 launch release is using their physical release cards are game key cards, which are their announced cards where all that is on it is a game key that says you have the game and you can download the game. There is no game data on it.
Right.
So you can't plug it in and just play the game. You have to plug it in and then download the entire game.
There's zero purpose to buying a physical thing like that.
Exactly. The only reason is it's still... If it doesn't lock to your account, you can still sell it.
Yeah, but since it's a code, I don't know that it doesn't lock to your account. Have they confirmed?
That hasn't been confirmed.
Okay. I bet it does.
I'm sure it does.
Because how are they going to treat it different?
Because I remember the Civilization game, the play-by-email Civilization game we played. I was pissed off. And I did not buy another game on Steam for years because of it, because I bought the physical copy because I wanted the physical copy, and I installed it. All that was on the disc was the key code to install on Steam.
Yep.
Pissed me off so much.
Dark times, those were.
It was dark times, and now I'm.
And now you're downloading potatoes constantly.
I'm playing with potatoes. They're fun. They're so much fun. Join me, Dennis. Join the potatoes.
Well, I think we've reached the end of the show. We're talking about potatoes again. People can always email us at eclecticgamerspodcast@gmail.com. Please don't email about potatoes. Or you can reach out at facebook.com/eclecticgamerspodcast. And as I said back at the start, you can always support us. Patreon.com/eclectic_gamers.
We're available on Twitch and Instagram as eclectic_gamers.
We'll be back in a couple weeks. Will Harry Potter finally be revealed? Will we know more about the locking mechanism of the physical copies on the Switch 2? My gut tells me no on both, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
But we'll plan to have an episode regardless. So until then, my name is Dennis.
I'm Tony.
Goodbye, everybody.
Potato.